Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Joining us now, our friend Richard Ojeda, retired U.S. Army Major, former West Virginia State Senator, host of Ojeda Live, and now candidate for Congress, North Carolina's 9th District. Of course, also co-founder of the Turn Left PAC. Richard, good to see you, my friend.
Always a pleasure to be on the Dean Obeidallah Show.
So let's talk about a little bit, first of all, the VA. I want to talk about your race, of course, and the issues that are confronting there and why you ran, all that kind of stuff. But we know that Doug Collins, the head of the VA, put out a video. They're going to gut 80 to 90,000 employees from the Veterans Administration, bringing it down to 2018, I think, employee levels, despite the fact that I saw last year satisfaction with the VA is hitting all-time records. Like 80% of veterans are saying they were like the services and what they were getting from the VA. What's the real-world impact of gutting these many employees?
It's going to be absolutely horrific. I mean, there are already places where it's still hard to get care in the community and things like that. And now basically cutting over 80,000 jobs. Also, remember that 1 out of every 3 people that work in the Veterans Administration is a veteran. So you can't sit here and tell me that you support the veterans and support these kind of cuts right here. I worry because like when I was living in Southern West Virginia, there was a time when I had to drive 2 hours just to get blood drawn. It takes a whopping 5 minutes to get blood drawn, but I would have to take a day off of work when I was teaching in West Virginia and drive 2 hours to the Huntington VA. They eventually created a place in a place called Lenore, West Virginia, where it was a little clinic that was literally 20 minutes away from where I lived. So it was wonderful. But stuff like this is going to end up shutting those clinics down. And it's going to be absolutely harder for veterans to get appointments. I will tell you that it's not out of the ordinary for a person to say, look, I want to get a tooth fixed. And it take 9 months before you can get in to see a dentist. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm telling you, I've actually had a tooth issue where I had to get a root canal, but I'm going to tell you, I had to wait months, and I was eating, 2 or 3 Motrin a day just to get through the days. I mean, that's not taking care of the veterans. And what they're doing right now is going to place a lot of veterans in jeopardy, once again, in being able to get the care. Remember, we spent 20 years in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. Our country sent millions of us into harm's way. And they said that, if we send you in harm's way and we break you, we're going to fix you when you come home. And this is not fixing veterans when they come home. This, when you kill the capabilities of the hotline for suicide, do you think that that's going to reduce the number of suicides from 22 a day down to 0? Or do you think it's going to double it? Because it's going to double it when we don't have that capability anymore. And right now we're watching a group of people that don't care about the lives of veterans. All they care about is, what can I tell the American people that I have cut? And they're doing the Veterans Administration a horrible, horrible attack is what this is. This is an attack on our veterans. And it's not surprising, though, because that's the way that it is. The only people that they care about right now are billionaires. They don't care about the veterans. They don't care about the poor. They don't care about the elderly. They don't care about our kids. And we can absolutely show where what I just said about them not caring about all these groups, we can show that they're attacking these people. You can't claim that you support children and then kill the free lunch programs. If you're going to require a child to go to school for 8 hours a day, the least we could do is feed them. You're going after all kinds of capabilities for the elderly. You're attacking Social Security. You can't claim to love the elderly person and kill their Social Security. And this is why so many people need to start waking up now, because it's only going to get worse unless we push back.
And I saw Congressman Byron Donalds, a Republican from Florida, defending the cut, saying he actually said the veterans were not getting the care they want. So if we cut 80,000 employees from the VA, then they're going to start getting the care because we're going to cut out the middleman, the bureaucracy. I'm like, what are you talking about? That makes only in MAGA world does that make sense.
Yeah, you can't make sense with that. But once again, Byron Donalds is nothing more than a puppet for Donald Trump. And oh, by the way, how did that work out for you, Byron? Did you get any administration spots? No, you didn't. Because Donald Trump wanted your voice, but he doesn't really want you really close to him because deep down, Donald Trump is a racist. So, that's where it's at. But these Byron Donalds and these people that are carrying Donald Trump's water, make no mistake about it. This is their legacy. And this is how they're going to be remembered, as a person who sold out their own constituents in order to try to get closer to the orange one. And I'm telling you right now, this stuff is going to come to an end.
Is the goal just to privatize it like everything else so they can send it out and make money for their donors who run clinics or anything else?
Yeah, the goal is to cut as much as we can from every aspect of an American's lives, all so that we can make 800 people at the top richer. And
Right.
that's what this is. I mean,
Yeah.
I Googled in 2024, we had 785 billionaires in America. And just understand that the budget that the Republicans just passed, that they pushed and passed, is going to hurt 340,099,872 Americans, all to make sure that the top 785, which is now over 800, people happy. And what did they do after that? They took a knee and prayed. You just gutted care for the poor, the sick, the hungry, to give to the billionaire class, and you had the nerve to take a knee and act like you're walking with the Lord, like this is what God would have wanted. Yeah. What about Matthew 25? For what you do to the least of my brothers, you do unto me. They forgot that right there. And once again, I'm going to tell you right now, I would love to be a member of Congress standing on that floor when they do something like that and then bow down and act like they're praying, because I will loudly stand and say the true prayer that they're really wanting to say, which is, dear God, thank you so much for allowing us to rob from the poor and give to the rich, because those rich people are going to help us stay in power because they're going to give us all the money that we need. That's where we're at.
It is. That's the Fox News Bible. I think they sell it in the Fox News gift store.
That's
and
it.
So, I mean, Richard, just so people understand, because I went to the VA once here in New York and spent a few hours talking to a lot of people there, that not everyone qualifies for VA healthcare. Like, my understanding is, and tell me if I'm wrong, if it's tied to your service, if it's an illness or injury tied to your service, then you can get care. And then there's others. Do you qualify after a certain amount of years where you can still get care when you leave?
If you served in the United States military and you got an honorable discharge, you actually are qualified to receive VA care. You didn't have to, if you didn't go to a combat zone, it doesn't matter. Your meds, and I will tell you, anybody listening to this, is that if you have a family member that served in the military and they always go to Walmart or Walgreens or place to get their medicines, understand that you should make a phone call to the Veterans Administration and get your loved one signed up, because the truth is your loved one can get their medicines from the VA if they have an honorable discharge, and it's free of charge, and they mail it to you. So,
Wow.
every pill bottle that you have will have a date on it, and will have a phone number that you can call when you're getting low, and you punch in this RX number that they have on your bottle, and they'll tell you you'll receive a new shipment within the next 10 days, and it comes in
Oh,
the
that's
mail.
great. I didn't know that. So if for anyone who gets an honorable discharge, you're eligible for VA benefits.
Yeah, yeah, and you know
That's
what? I
good.
mean, you may not, qualify for any type of financial, disability or anything like that, but still, if you served honorably, you deserve Veterans Administration care. That is
Sure.
just the way that it
Definitely.
is.
And by the way, look, I mean, you served for many years in the military. I'm trying to get your take here. Trump administration fired three judge advocates generals, the TJAGs, the three that were the top in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. And Pete Hegseth actually said, we don't want people there who are going to be, quote, roadblocks, anything that happens.
Well,
So what is going on here,
I
Richard?
mean, what they're doing is what they're doing, and it's absolutely unacceptable. I mean, look, if you can't see that what they are doing right now to our military is blatant racism, I mean, they fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a
Yep.
man of color, a man who has flown fighter jets, a man who has dedicated 40 years of his life to this country. And oh, by the way, he wasn't just on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So once again, let that happen. Well, who else did they fire? Oh, they fired the female naval
Mhm.
shoot. I'm trying to admiral.
Right.
And then a day later, they made a 3-star Marine general retire, who was a woman. I mean, we see what's blatantly happening. And the reason why they want to get rid of these JAG officers is because they don't want nobody to say, "Excuse me, that's not right. That's illegal. You
Right.
are absolutely this is a racist attack." Because that's what it is. They're blatantly getting rid of people of color and women from our ranks. And I'm going to tell you, a woman that wants to serve this country, that goes through the process, goes through the training, goes through the initial basic training, gets into the military, serves her country. Does she not deserve to have a say? Does she not deserve to serve? Does she not deserve benefits? And right now, what they're doing is they're basically saying nope. They're saying the quiet part out loud, and it's blatantly obvious. And I really wish more people wake up. I was on a drive yesterday for an hour and a
Mhm.
half drive to go to one of my outlying counties. And on the way there, my phone rang. And as soon as I answered, it was a person that I had known for a long time and I was friends with. But right before the election, I just got tired of the Trump's gonna take us to the next level. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and remove myself because I don't want to see this. I can't stand seeing people that I really, really like
Sure.
go down this path. And I got a phone call. I haven't spoke or seen this person since before the election. I answered the phone. Hello, you were right. He's an idiot. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And once again, let me tell you something. For those people that do that, do not throw stones at them. It's time for us to welcome them back into the fold because those are now going to become the new voters that are going to vote against Donald Trump. So if a person wakes up, don't throw stones at them. Be grateful that they finally saw the light and now they're back on the right side. So let's make sure that we do that.
I agree with you. I think you've got to, if people have, for whatever reason, made the decision that Donald Trump is a threat to our democracy, our economy, whatever it is, to the VA, to American values, and they want to join us, then so be it. This is the time to welcome them in. I'm chatting with Richard Ojeda. Richard, and before we talk about your race in North Carolina, because I want to go into some detail into that, Donald Trump is now siding with Putin. He's stopping military assistance and intelligence sharing. Experts say this can impact Ukraine on the battlefield. What is going on here? What is your reaction to this?
We have a Russian asset in the Oval Office. And anybody that says anything different, and once again, now his poorly educated base, his people that drink from the fountain of Fox, Newsmax, and OAN, now they're actually anti Zelensky. I mean, what did Zelensky do? He was invaded. A sovereign nation was invaded. Remember the agreement that's the reason they gave up their nuclear capabilities was so that we'll give up our nuclear capabilities for protection. And right now we've got the United States of America standing with Vladimir Putin and doing everything that Putin wants. There's media in Russia right now that's literally celebrating. We've got
Yep.
Trump. That's what's happening, and it's absolutely unacceptable. We are losing all of our allies. The United States is no longer the leader of the free world. And let me tell you something, it's about to get much, much worse because once again, everything is starting to tank now. And these countries aren't rolling over to Donald Trump. So it's going to get much worse. But people need to start waking up because we have to take back 2026. And that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons why I'm in this fight is we have to bring checks and balances back to Washington, D.C. And oh, by the way, I'm going to tell you that it won't bother me one single bit have one of my first votes as an impeachment vote against Donald Trump because let me tell you something, he's already doing things that absolutely are impeachable. He was impeached the first time for refusing or withholding aid to Ukraine
Mhm.
unless they gave him dirt. Well, guess what? What did he do in the beginning of this one was basically do the same thing to California. Unless you do what I say, we're not
Yep.
going to give you the aid. Same thing he said to the governor of Maine. Unless you do this in your schools, we're going to cut you off from funding. I mean, the guy just doesn't get it. He is the dumbest man to ever occupy the chair. He is the laziest man. And I really, really wish that a lot of these people would wake up. But once again, they're just like him.
So let's talk about your run. You're running in North Carolina, 9th District. That's my understanding. That's correct.
Yes.
And there's a Republican there, Rich Hudson. So tell us, when we talked probably a little over a month ago, you said you were contemplating something. You maybe were going to do something big, and I didn't know what it was. I assume run for some kind of office. And so now you're running for the U.S. House there. Why here? Why this district and why run?
Well, I lived in North Carolina for almost 20 straight years. The only time I left was to go to Korea, go to Iraq, and Afghanistan.
Okay.
Uh, my children were raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My daughter was born on Fort Bragg. We were there for 20 years, and then we
Right.
retired and went back to West Virginia. Well, I was a senator in West Virginia. I was an educator in West Virginia. But when you are in the reddest state in the country, almost it's honestly like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with it anymore. It doesn't mean that I don't love the people of West Virginia, but
I understand.
it's just so hard. So we decided that we wanted to find another place, and we automatically said, well, what about North Carolina? And we moved back here 3 years ago. We love it here. And the one thing that I see is that we don't really have representation. We have Richard Hudson. He's the guy, by the way, that 2 days ago told all the Republicans, stop doing your town halls. So what are you hiding from? Why are you telling Republicans to not do town halls? And the reason why is because they're getting their butts handed to them in
Yep.
Republican town halls.
Mhm.
Republican town hall. Republicans are standing up and saying, "What we thought that we weren't going to be on the chopping block, but now we're losing our jobs." All these things. So this guy he's absent. And I despise that. I can't say. And by the way, he worked on Kellyanne Conway's staff, so that right there tells me he has no integrity and doesn't care about integrity. And it's just like there's really no representation here. So once again, we've had a lot of places in the United States of America that have not won, or the Republicans have not won because of their representatives. Their
Mhm.
Republicans won because they ran on Trump. Carol Miller of West Virginia is now on her fourth term. She's never pushed and passed a single bill, but every election she goes, Trump, and then she goes and she sings in all the churches, choirs, so that everybody can say, oh, she must be walking with the Lord, But of course, look at her legislation. She literally tried to push legislation, or she's working on it now, that's going to basically kill those fun sites where
Wow.
companies come in and poison the water and poison the land. And what she says is, well, they shouldn't be made to have to clean that up. The taxpayers can cover that. And those people will still vote for her in West Virginia because why? Trump.
So you're running out there. You're in North Carolina. You're already campaigning, right? So
I am.
so you're out there. So what are the issues that people are raising to you that they're concerned with?
Well, there's a lot of issues in terms of education, veterans issues. I mean, to me, there's just so many opportunities for the ability to bring things to this district, North Carolina, the ninth congressional district. I'm going everywhere, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting down with people. I'm also talking about things that I think that I really need to try to champion. Number one is I believe, and I'm angered that nobody's ever done it, is bring back the fairness doctrine. Why can't we push legislation to say we want to say that we want honor and integrity on our news media? Because let me tell you something, by killing the fairness doctrine, that's how we got Fox News. And then that's how come now we have, and oh, by the way, even other, places get caught lying from time to time. That should be illegal. You get caught once, you get a fine. You get caught a second time, you get put on probation, which means you go off the air for 3 months. You get caught a third time, you lose your license. You're no longer news media. I think that that's something that we need to bring back. And I don't know why we got so many people going to Washington, D.C., and when they get there, nobody pushes legislation. Now, I'll tell you right now, if I go to Washington, D.C., I'm going to push legislation. And if I get told no, I don't care, because that's what they told me in West Virginia. Don't you dare push that medical cannabis. Even the Democrats said it. And I said, I don't care what you have to say, because this helps veterans that struggle with PTSD. And after the 60 days in session, on the last day, my bill became law.
Wow,
So
that's great.
I can get things done. I can get people behind me. I'm not going to Washington, D.C. because I want to get sound bites every day on the news media like the rest of these daggone cackles do. I want to daggone go there and push legislation. I want to push a 20-year and out retirement for members of Congress. There's no reason why we got people in Congress that's been there for 40-some years. We got people in Congress that voted to impeach Clinton. And make no mistake about it, do you really think that they know what life is like for their districts? Senator John Kelly, or John Kennedy, and Senator Mitch McConnell, when they went into Congress, they were the poorest people there. They're worth millions upon millions of dollars. How do you think they relate to those poor people in eastern Kentucky? They don't relate to none of them because they have no concept of what their life is like. But they stay up there and they keep winning because, once again, Trump. But we need some people to go to Washington, D.C. and push legislation to actually elevate these people out of poverty and do things for the people itself.
And what would you do like for working class people? And are you just right at this point listening to people, or are you articulating a vision for what you would try to push in terms of legislation to help working class Americans?
Well, one of the things is right now is basically just listening to what these
Okay.
people have to say. Now,
Mhm.
make no mistake about it. I've already started talking to teachers in reference to maybe a potential nationalized teaching pay scale.
Oh, wow.
And I will tell you, because you got to understand, it's really hard for some states to keep teachers. When you look, North Carolina is 44th in teachers pay. We're ninth in population growth, but 44th in teachers pay. We're 49th in how much money we put towards each student to go to school. So really, I mean, thank you, Mississippi, but we deserve to be better than that. So
Right.
those are things. And then the nationalized pay scale. My thing is that when you live on a border county of West Virginia, and you can jump across the river to Kentucky and automatically start teaching and basically get an $8,000 raise right there. You could jump into Virginia and it's 10,000. You jump into Ohio, it's 12,000. I mean, I don't know exactly the number, but I know it's much
Sure.
more than what it is. So what happens is the border counties of places like West Virginia, they jump over to the other states. And then the border counties have to daggone hire the assistant wrestling coach to teach Spanish. And I've
Uh,
saw that. So,
right.
so we had a nationalized pay scale. Imagine, and this is for school service personnel too. Don't ever forget school service because you can't run a school without them. But imagine if you paid a new teacher that has a bachelor's degree this level. And I don't mean in the poverty like it is now. On a
Mhm.
national scale, we can pay them. There's no reason why we can't start a brand new teacher out at the same rate we start a brand new lieutenant in the United States Army. We've got teachers that have been working for 30 years with a master's degree plus an additional 200 hours of education service. And they're literally making $39,000 a year, and they've been there for 30 years. There's no reason why we can't take daggone teachers and start them out as a bachelor's degree at the level of a second
Mhm.
lieutenant. And every 5 years, they get a bump up to the next level of pay. And I think that that's something we absolutely could do, and it would solve the problems with education because people who go to who study education, they want to teach in their hometowns. They don't want to have to leave someplace else. They like to go back to where they were raised. They want to teach the children that come from the very kids that they went to school with because that's who they are. And
Uh,
we can do better.
And by the way, so just so people know, North Carolina 9, what are, someone might be listening and live next to it or in it or have a family member. Can you give us a sense of what are the big towns, cities in this district?
Well, we have Cumberland County, we have
Okay.
Hope County, and Moore County, and those are the counties that are closest to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Very, very heavily saturated with veterans. Make no mistake about it.
Ah,
Richard Hudson's no veteran. He'll knock down an old lady to get a picture standing next to a veteran coming home from a combat zone, but he'll vote against veterans to kill our capabilities at the VA because he's daggone nothing more than a daggone Donald Trump bootlicker. So that's it. So let me tell you something. Nobody will fight for veterans health care more than this guy will
I
because
know
I'm
that.
in the VA system and I will stay in the VA system. And then of course the northern part, we have Randolph County, which is it's got Ashboro. We've got Burlington,
Mhm.
which is that's part of some of the counties I have in the north, which is Alamance County and Guilford County. But I am
That's the
committed. I have no problems getting in cars and driving for a couple of hours to meet with people. I look at an election like a combat deployment. You get off the plane, you go nonstop until it's time to get back on the plane and go home. And right
right.
now, I'm in deployment mode.
That's great. My niece is at Duke. My other niece just graduated from Duke like 2 years ago, and my sister went to Duke. So they all spend a lot of time in North Carolina there. It's a beautiful state.
Absolutely.
Last thing, Richard, if people want to find out more about the campaign, volunteer, donate, whatever, where can they go?
Richard Ojeda for NC.com. You can go to my website. It's all it's being built, but it's there now. I do a nightly live Ojeda Live on YouTube and Facebook. We have caught fire.
Great.
I have picked up probably 70,000 new followers in the last 3 weeks. So
Wow.
yeah, we went from 153,000 to 225,000 like that.
Great stuff.
Every night on my nightly live on YouTube and Facebook, I'm having anywhere from 900 to 1,700 people on at a time. So I mean, it's doing well, and I'm traveling around to the districts, And I'm meeting with the Democrats mostly, and I will tell you that they're excited because once again, they don't like Richard Hudson. And I think that a lot of people in this area is going to start turning on Richard Hudson because once
That's true.
again, this is what Trump is doing. You can't daggone claim to support veterans and support Donald Trump because they're gutting veterans' capabilities and
Uh,
they're
I
absolute
agree.
garbage.
I agree with you, brother. Well, congratulations on running. It's exciting, and we'll be talking much more between now and through the whole time, through the primary and all. Great chat with you. Have a great weekend, brother.
My man, always a pleasure. Give me a call anytime.
Take care. Have a